Hello everybody, welcome back to the backyard bee yard. I'm definitely past due for an update. I've done some things on the hives that I wanted to show you guys, but for some time reasons I couldn't make a video, so I want to kind of cover it all now and do an inspection to see how things are going. So I'm going to talk a little bit first and tell you what has happened in the past month or two, and if you just want to watch me getting into the hives, skip forward a bit. But to recap, the beginning of this year, well, last year I had 2 hives, really high Varroa Mite count. I should have kept a closer eye on them. One of the hives died through the winter. The other hive, that one survived. And at the time I didn't know if this other one was going to survive, so I bought 2 more packages. That's that one and that one. And by the time I got the packages, this hive was still good and doing well. So great, I got 3 hives now, 3 colonies. Now, as they were building up throughout the spring, I think I got them in March, fairly early. I already had drawn out comb, so it was easy to start the new packages. As these 2 new packages were building up, this one was doing very well, pretty normal based on my experience from last year. They had brood, they started storing nectar and honey, and as soon as they could. They didn't even really eat much of the food I gave them, pollen patties or syrup. They ate a little bit, but they just didn't really want it. They just were flying around and doing their thing. This hive, on the other hand, did not do very well. It just barely maintained the number of bees. I wouldn't be surprised if, a package of bees is 10,000 bees or 3 pounds roughly. I wouldn't be surprised if they went anywhere really far above that. But there was brood and there were eggs, but the queen just wasn't laying well. So I decided, maybe a little bit late in the game, but it's July now, and I did this, what I'm about to tell you, about a month ago or several weeks. I decided to requeen it. And there's a couple ways you can requeen, but the way I did it, and it's the quick and dirty way, I think, I just smushed the queen in there, and there were some frames of fresh eggs. If you have eggs that are less than 3 days old from the queen, they can build a new queen cell from those eggs. So I had some eggs in there, and I took 2 frames of eggs from that hive, which is my strongest hive, and I put those 2 frames in there, hoping that they might make a queen out of those eggs. And I looked in the hive, I believe about a week later, 8 days later, after I smushed the queen and then put some eggs in there, and there were at least 8 queen cells. They look like a little peanut hanging off of the comb, if you don't know. And most of them were capped. 1 or 2 were uncapped with larvae in there, so they were definitely making a new queen. They were doing what they were supposed to. And so I said, okay, great. Hopefully there's enough drones still around for the new queen to mate and get going a little bit better. And while that was going on, this hive, again, it was a beast. This is the one from last year. They didn't eat anything. They eventually ate a pollen patty after a while that I left in there. They didn't really want any sugar. I had a leftover honey super from last year that was like half honey and half sugar water because I messed up when I was feeding and everything. So I put that honey super on there, hoping that they would just eat the honey and sugar water out of it and then eventually fill it back up with fresh honey. They didn't eat it. I scratched the cappings away. All they did was cap it over again and start stuffing more honey in there. So I got, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks ago, I pulled a honey super, full 100% filled honey super off of there. And yeah, there may be some sugar water in there from last year, but I'm just gonna, take what I can get at this point. It's not the biggest problem. So I already got a honey super off of this one, and then this one was going well. It was time for their second box. I put a second box on. They built that second box out. I put the honey super on, and as of the last time I checked it, there was nectar in there and some capped honey. They were doing really good. And that leaves us to about where we are now. I checked these hives, I don't know, a week or two ago. This honey super was almost completely full, but some honey and some nectar. So you need to wait for that nectar to dry out and wait for them to cap it before you do anything else, before you take it off. And in this hive, I've been feeding it. I just got some more pollen patties, so I'm gonna feed them. I've been feeding them syrup, and I'm gonna feed them some pollen patties too, because the middle of summer there isn't a whole lot of nectar and pollen for them right now. I do have these wildflowers that I planted, and I'm sure there's other stuff around, but there isn't as much as there was in the spring, so I want to help them build up and be as strong as possible. I'm not going to take any honey from them. I'm just going to let them put all their effort into building up a big colony so they survive through the winter. So our goal for today, for that week hive, I'm going to go through it, see if I can find a queen. And sometimes the queens are hard to spot unless you're a real seasoned person or you got good eyes or whatever. If you don't see the queen, at least look for eggs or larvae. And if I see eggs, I know that there's a queen in there, and I know that she's laying, because it's been far too long without a queen for there to be just eggs from the old queen. I'm going to see if I can find any of that. Hopefully I do. I'll put it back together, I'll give them a pollen patty, and I'll give them sugar syrup, and that'll be that. Also, I am keeping a much closer eye on Varroa this year. This hive, at the moment, I don't need to worry about because they had a brood break. And when there's a break in brood, that's how the Varroa mite reproduces. It reproduces and grows in the larva, in the capped larva cell. There's been a break in that because there's been no queen. So at the moment, these should be pretty good on Varroa mites. Whatever mites were in there are most likely dead and gone, or most of the way anyway. This back hive, since I took the honey super off, I can treat it. I was going to do oxalic acid, but since there's no honey super on there, and maybe I'm a little bit lazy, and I also bought the stuff, I'm going to put some apivar strips in there. The front hive, I'm just going to check the honey super. That's really all I'm going to do. See how that's going. If it's full, I'm going to take it off. If it's not, I'll just take a guesstimate as to when it will be ready, and I'll check it again in a few days or a week or whatever. And once the honey super comes off that, I'll treat for mites, probably do a mite check, and then treat for them. Another thing with this back hive, jumping back to that one, they're so strong and so prolific. And the last time I looked at them, they had most of their brood, most of their activity in the top box. So I might flip these two boxes to encourage them to keep laying and everything, even though I believe they're pretty well stuffed. And I might do the same thing with this one. I have to take a look at it. The thing is, when you have especially when you have a honey super and two deeps, by the time you get to the bottom deep, the bees are a little agitated. I mean, they're pretty docile, but they get a little agitated when you've been spending that much time in there. Alright, here we are. We're at the weak hive. So I'll pull the cover off. This is just a medium super. This is the feeder. I'm sure it's empty. Yep. Oh, I see the queen. Let's see, there she is. Right by my thumb. Okay, there's a queen. Yep. She's a little small. She may not be mated. I don't really know. So I see the queen. That's good enough. I'm not going to mess with them. Now here's the pollen patty. You don't need to take the paper off. Just scrape it up. And then they'll get the idea. Let's get them out of the way again so I don't smush them with the pollen patty. This is roughly 2-to-1 syrup. Okay, here is the hive that survived from last year that I already took a honey super off of. I have my Apivar strips ready to go. I put a nail through them so I can hang them. They do have this little tab you can bend out, but I think the nail's better. They have a hole for the nail, but my nails are too small, so I just punched them through. I can already see this frame is pretty packed with stores. I usually put the stores on the outside and brood. Oh, there's brood there. Well, anyway, you see that's all drone comb, and maybe you could see it better if I put it in frame. See, it's all bumpy. That's drone comb. Frame's not very well drawn out. There's regular worker drone or worker brood. This is the time where if you want to checkerboard your frames, like here, this was a full frame that I just took out. Man, I should really be, you're not really in frame. And this is a real empty one. So I've already checkerboarded these, but if your bees are only building up like 1/2 of the box for whatever reason, take those full frames and alternate them with the empty ones. Yep, there's plenty of eggs in there. Lots of eggs. Alright. Oh. See what we got. This is a real light frame. There's a bee bread in there and some brood, just a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and switch these boxes. I didn't do that. I've never done that actually. I didn't do it last year for whatever reason. Yeah, this one's a lot lighter. So I'll just set that carefully there. That's all glued together with propolis. To get them off the edge a little bit. Oh, and I got my Apivar strips, so I'll try to expediently find a spot to slide them in. In this box, this is a lot lighter. There we go, bees. Your house is going back together. I'm not going to take any more honey from these girls. Some beekeepers will take a spring flow and a fall flow, but I'm not super interested, especially at this point. I'm still learning. I don't want to take a ton from them, and I don't want to have to feed in the winter. I want them to be fairly self-sustaining, and 2 or 3 medium supers of honey is a shitload of honey, so I think that's good enough. So we're all set with that one. Alright, so once again, my goal here is to see how the honey super is doing, and then just do a quick check on the 2 brood chambers and see if maybe I need to flip them too. It's possible. I'll give them a little smoke. The sun's starting to, well, it's not like going down, but this is definitely at the limit of when I should be messing around. Oh, and one last thing that I forgot to mention about this hive. You'll see it in a second. I put a Propolis Trap on here. It looks like a queen excluder, but the gaps are a lot closer together. So that encourages the bees to fill it with propolis. And it was just a fun thing that I wanted to do. Propolis is, like I said, very medicinal, has a lot of uses. And so I got a Propolis Trap on here, so we'll see how that's doing. I don't have high hopes for it at the moment because it's at the top of the honey super. They might be more preoccupied with filling the honey super. I don't know. So let's find out. Here's the Propolis Trap. There's not much in there yet, so I'll just set this aside. They are starting to fill it a little bit. Pretty well filled up with bees. I do have a queen excluder as well. I made the mistake once of forgetting to put one in, and guess what? You get brood in your honey box. I do have this gap here. I don't know if you can see it. That's because they built kind of wonky, super fat comb, and I needed to give them a little extra space. So let's pry this one out, see how we're doing. Lots of bees. That's pretty much completely full and capped. This is not quite capped. See in the middle there. So we still got some nectar that has yet to, just like that one as well. Same deal there, that's mostly open. There is nectar in there. Well, coming off without the excluder, there we go. Yeah, it's got some weight to it. Not as heavy as the one I took off though. Oh, we got some larvae. I don't know how much you can see there. I'm trying to be quick. More brood. This is real wonky comb. Again, that's something I'll fix in the winter. There's some empty comb, but I do see eggs. Looking down from the top, I definitely see drone comb because it's fatter. Here we got some stores of bee bread. Oh, there's some good. There's some good, yeah, drone comb by my right hand. There's a fat drone comb and the regular worker comb. Lots of brood there. Maybe we'll go through a couple more frames and call it good. Yeah, let's just get these girls out of the way. We've seen what we need to see. They're happy, they're healthy, they got lots of brood. Drone workers, they got pollen, they got bee bread. So while I'm putting this together, I'll just share some of my thoughts with you. Last year, partly because I was starting with fresh hives, there was no comb or anything, but I just fed the shit out of them. And I guess that wasn't a terrible thing to do, but I wanted to move more towards a self-sufficient beehive, bee colony. So I'm trying a little bit more of a hands-off approach. I'm checking them when I need to check them, and that's that. Take care of them where it needs to be done, like Varroa mites. But I tried feeding these girls in the spring, and like I said, there really wasn't. They just weren't taking it. So that's fine by me. It's more natural that way. Some people say that it makes your bees lazy or something if you feed too much. I don't know if I buy that. They're bees, and you know, a worker bee dies after 6 months, or 6 weeks rather, I'm sorry, 6 weeks. So she's not going to know for that long whether she's getting fed or not. So, but anyway, I don't know, that's my general approach this year. I'm helping where help is needed, but I'm just leaving them alone, other than just checking on them, make sure nothing is going totally haywire. And my weak hive is a perfect example. I paid $140 for those packaged bees, and you know, I want to get my money's worth out of that. Absolute worst case scenario, I could do a newspaper combine between the weak hive and maybe this one or whatever, but you know, I don't want to do that. So I have 3 hives. I want to keep 3 hives if I can, and that'll help my chances of having more hives when I come out through the winter. So there you have it, everybody. A lengthy video, I know, but we had 3 hives to get through. If I get any more hives, I think I might just have to, I don't know, do something different. But at any rate, hope you enjoyed this. Hope this inspires or helps out some of the beekeepers out there. And that's for that. Oh, two little things. This video is not long enough as it is. Old roof shingles, asphalt shingles, make excellent little clearance areas around the hives. Nothing grows in the hot sun. They mush down real well. And also, to cut the grass around the hives without pissing the bees off, I use a scythe. Nice vintage scythe. Get into it, learn about it. It's really pleasing to use, and the bees don't get upset at all. Anyway, that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please hit the like button if you like this, which I'm sure you did, and hit the subscribe button. Keep up to date with all of my endeavors, from bees to fruit trees to oil-fueled engines and tractors and every other thing under the sun that I'm interested in, at least. Thanks for watching, everybody. Come on back for more.